Superman and Lois has surprised audiences with its ability to blend a family drama with the ever-expanding and frankly a bit oversaturated world of comic book superhero action. It's always refreshing to get a new take on something that has been portrayed time and time again, as they have done with the version of Superman. In this video, we're going to be covering what the writers will be bringing us in Season 2 and how it affects the Superman timeline moving forward. First, a brief recap of Season 1. Caution, there are spoilers in this video. Following the events of the TV show Smallville, Clark Kent and Lois Lane have moved back to Superman's hometown of Smallville in order to raise their twins Jonathan and Jordan. It isn't long before their family's thrown into chaos when an evil mogul, Morgan Edge, takes control of the Daily Planet and dismisses Clark from his position there. A mysterious Dr. Luther is also after Clark, and it seems as though the Kent family may never have a life of relative normalcy. We also find out that one of Clark and Lois's sons, Jordan, has inherited his powers. It all wraps up with Dr. Luther being John Henry Irons, a man who is married to a deceased Lois Lane from another reality where Superman is evil. Once he realizes that the Superman of this reality is not evil, he joins forces with Superman in attempting to stop Edge, who is also revealed to have a secret identity. He is actually Tal-Rho, a Kryptonian and half-brother of Superman. After a long and intense back and forth, Irons and Superman defeat Tal-Rho and his minions, and it seems like relative peace will finally come to the Kent family. But is that ever really the case for Superman? Next, we'll be talking about the first episode of Season 2. John Henry Irons and his daughter Natalie move in with the Kents, and it seems that things are back to normal. Jonathan is scolded for getting too close to one of the girls in town, and Superman is doing his thing, saving the lives of people in distress on Earth. Specifically, he rescues a group of North Korean sailors from their submarine, which is malfunctioning. It also turns out that the Department of Defense is making superheroes due to the fact that Superman wants to be Earth's hero, not solely America's. At the end of the episode, we're shown a mysterious gloved hand breaking through the dirt deep down in the Schuster mines. Like we alluded to before, peacetime is always relatively short for a superhero. Now let's stop and talk about that hand for just a moment. Comic book fans were quick to point out whose hand was breaking through the earth in the mines. It would appear to belong to none other than Doomsday, one of Superman's deadliest foes in the comics. As a matter of fact, in the crossover comic, The Death of Superman, well, Superman dies and his murderer is none other than Doomsday. It would be a crazy villain to introduce in the Superman and Lois timeline due to the sheer fact of how epic a foe he is to Superman. It gives comic book fans chills down to their core to imagine the deadly Doomsday wreaking havoc on the inhabitants of Smallville. Now we're going to recap episode 2 of Season 2 a little bit. In episode 2 of the new season, Superman and Jordan go with Tal-Rho to his fortress in an attempt to find out what's going on with Superman's debilitating visions. Tal-Rho turns on an AI version of Laura Lorvan, he and Superman's biological mother from Krypton. She begins running a diagnostic on Superman when he has another of this crippling visions. Tal-Rho uses his opportunity to break out of the restraints he's in, and Jordan must protect his father while he is incapacitated. In another scene, a team of miners go to investigate the strange seismic readings coming out of the mine. They're greeted by a shaded figure who begins destroying them all. The last miner alive detonates explosives, blowing up everyone down in the mine, including whatever that monster was. All indications point to this absolutely being Doomsday, but they do not explicitly say it or show him completely. Also in episode 2, Daniel decides to drop out of the mayoral race, devastating Lana, who has put in a tremendous amount of work to get him elected. When all is said and done, Lana decides to run for mayor herself. With the help of her husband, gets signatures from the firehouse, solidifying her candidacy in the race. At the end of the episode, Sarah comes clean to Jordan about why she has been distant the past few days. It turns out that while she was away at camp, she kissed another girl. And even though she says it meant nothing to her, the news is absolutely devastating to Jordan. He ends up crying and storming off, leaving her sitting alone on the porch. Episode 2 has been another great indication of the plotline Superman and Lois is going to go down. Now let's talk about where the writers are sourcing a bunch of this material. The show has been relying on source material for direction quite a bit, it would would seem. Both seasons so far have been greatly influenced by the comic Reign of Superman. Although it is drawing some plot lines from the comic, it is still putting its own twist on everything, and the fans could not be happier about that. Reign of Superman was not a very highly rated comic, so the fact the writers are deviating a bit from all the comic has in it is welcome. In the comic, Doomsday shows up before Superman does, while the storyline about John Henry Irons and the whole Eradicator plotlines are directly from the comic. With the first 2 episodes pointing large and arguably big fingers at a Doomsday arrival, there's no doubt the writers could be tricking us into thinking that mysterious villain is someone else. Another plotline that the show is seeming to use is that of Superboy and the Army's super people. Although this is absolutely borrowed from the comic, we here are excited to see how the show incorporates it into the show. That being said, many fans agree that The Death of Superman and Reign of Superman were both subpar comics anyway, so the fact the show is using these characters and building its own thing off of them is a treat for comic book fans and fans solely of the show as well. Up next, we're going to talk a little bit about Doomsday's history in the comics. Originally named the Ultimate, Doomsday was created by a scientist who inhabited prehistoric Krypton. About 250,000 years ago, the scientist, whose name was Bertrand, created a humanoid infant and exposed the child to the extremely dangerous environment of prehistoric Krypton. At that time, Krypton was inhabited by terrible predators, and the climate itself was poisonous and crazy hot in temperature. The child would be killed, his remains recovered and cloned, and re-released again, a process of speeding up evolution to create the perfect killing machine. Eventually, the child survived, killed all the inhabitants of Krypton, including his creator, the scientist Bertrand, and escaped on a spaceship. He would then travel planet to planet, killing all the inhabitants of each, until he finally encountered a species that could mount a formidable defense. The species known as Calatonians defeated this monster and strapped him into a prison aboard a rocket and launched him into space. Although they believe him to be dead, he was not, and he later crashes onto Earth, and it seems that perhaps this is what we are seeing in Superman and Lois. As you can imagine, if this is what Superman will be facing off against, he really has his work cut out for him. Up next, it would appear as though fan theories were right. Todd Helbing, a showrunner for Superman and Lois, actually confirmed that Doomsday would be making his way to the so-called Arrowverse after the season 2 premiere that showcased the hand breaking through the ground in the mines. This could almost certainly be a confirmation that this is who it was that will be fighting Superman in season 2. In Supergirl, which is supposed to take place prior to the events of Superman and Lois, there is a conversation in which it is explained that Superman had defeated Doomsday, but it seems like maybe that will fail to remain canon as he is making an appearance somewhere in the Arrowverse. One thing is for sure, and that is that whatever is breaking through the ground down there in the Schuster mines is gonna be a challenge the entire world would have to muster up the strength to combat. Now for a bit of a wrap up as we near the end of our video. Although almost all signs do point to the villain emerging from the mine as being Doomsday, there is no confirmation of this creature's identity just yet. We're super excited about episode 3, which will air on January 25th, and will most likely provide answers to some of the questions fans want to know. Is it Doomsday? Will Jordan forgive Sarah? And what exactly happened to Tal Rho? Look for these answers and many more as Superman and Lois continues to amaze fans worldwide. Thanks for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. Wherever you are, have a super day.